Because when I got back to Canada, I mailed him to the United States the letters that we wrote for him, and you know how everybody signed it. And Allison should be getting hers any day now too. And he was truly so touched by those letters. I have a feeling he might have even had a moment to himself where he was pretty emotional. He said his love language is words of affirmation. And so when he got those cards, like it made his day. He reached out to me a couple times just saying, wow, I can't believe you guys even took the time to think of me, let alone, and it was just such a simple gesture, but it meant mountains to him. So I just want to let you guys know that. So thanks for contributing to Mark in that way. He definitely deserves it. Cool. Okay, dokie. So let's do this. I would love to, first of all, just welcome all the new guests. So if we have any new team members, if anybody who is on here who's new in the last week since our last team call, welcome. I believe there is because every week we're growing, right? Every week we have new people coming on board. We're welcoming new people to the team. So thank you for being here. We have our team call every Tuesday right after the business overview, hopefully to free up your evenings, right? So that we just have one evening where you can be really dedicated and focused to the business. And then I want to just do some congratulations before we get into the housekeeping and some training. And so we had a couple people rank up in the month of June. So we had some bronzes to acknowledge. So if we can all give a woo, woo, woo. By the way, if you're ever wondering, like, why does Kelly do this all the time? Is that jazz hands or what's going on? That's actually, if you don't know, that's sign language for clapping. It's sign language for clapping. So, on a Zoom, like when we celebrate people, it's weird. We don't really know what to do. Like, what do we do? So I just go, you could go like this, and it's kind of like, yay, right? Like for the people. So we had Susan, we had Kanisa, and we had Kungeka all become bronze, right? So if we want to give them like a woo woo, or yeah, you can do one of these. You can do whatever you want. Fist pumps. I don't know what your thing is, right? You can do like the money sign. I don't know, right? Like whatever you like to celebrate people and give them some good energies. Yeah, woo woo, right, Melissa? Yeah, right. Yeah, you can give little hearts, little whatevers with Zoom. So great job, right? Getting started in the business. Yeah, it's amazing. I want to give some honorable mentions because these guys don't quote unquote have the title yet of silver. So in order to rank up, you have to have one on the left and one on the right. So if you were to be considered silver, which is four, you would have at least one on the left, one on your right leg, and then the other two would be wherever they are. But Johnny, Magda, and Sandy all have four, five, six people, yet they're building a power leg right now and have them all on one leg. So in theory, we cannot call them a silver yet or a gold, but they have enrolled that many people in 1 month. So I want to give them a honorable mention because that's super awesome and super impressive. They're building from a big vision perspective. So I still want you to get your acknowledgement. So woo, 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 woo. Great job coming out with a bang with your business, you guys. And then we had two platinums in the month of June, which is amazing. This is amazing. It's like we've opened the floodgate for platinums and it's just going to keep rolling in. I know it. Right. And so in the month of June, we had, is Debbie on the call? Is Debbie on the call? We had Debbie and we had Lorado hit platinum. And so let's give them a big woo, woo, woo. That's a big deal. I want to bring Lorado on. Debbie's not on, or else I'd bring her on too. So, Lorado, can you take yourself off mute? Because I don't want to just gleam over that. When you hit the rank of platinum, that's a big deal. Lorado has been extremely persistent. She has been consistent. She has not let her vision waver. She has worked through doubt and obstacles and adversity. And she is a leader of leaders. She is awesome. I built my previous business with Lorado. And so, Lorado, man, just like congratulations. I'm so excited for you. Can you come on and can you share one, how does it feel? And two, maybe just a couple things that you have done that have worked. So for those that are listening who are on their way to platinum, they can just take a couple tips from you.
Thank you, Kelly. And you had a lot to do with it because and this goes out to the people who are watching everybody else rank up. You've been here since day one and it's not happening for you. So for me, it was just the biggest obstacle was between my two ears. I just had a mental block. And I would ask myself month after month, but I believe in the product. I believe in our leadership. I believe in the compensation plan. So why am I not doing this? But there was something about believing that I could take people with me. Because, when you've been part of other companies where people didn't make money, you don't feel so free to say to them that it's possible here. So I just had to deal with a lot of clutter up here. And then we got a few platinums 2 months ago or a month ago. And I was just like, what am I doing here? So I just focused and called the people that I didn't want to call, took a chance, and made those scary calls. But I spent the last month just working very, very closely with the people who joined the business. Mark said something, oh, no, it wasn't Mark. Terry said something about when you bring in people into the business, you give up your life. So literally, they could call me anytime. I do presentations for them. And they were excited. So that also helped me get overly excited. And that's what we did. We just built a vision that encompassed all of us. We're excited. We're gonna do this. If other people are earning money, guys, we can also earn that money. And I'd been on a couple of the trainings with the US team. And I'm like, if they can do it, we can do it. So I'm very excited about what's going to happen here in South Africa. And thank you, Kelly, for coming to South Africa because I think that added a little bit of spice and woke us up as well. So yeah, that's really what happened. It was just wanting to see people in the team win, and that just pushes you up. So if you focus on helping your team, but also doing your own personal calls. Um, I think that worked for me. That's what I did.
Oh my gosh, I love your share. Thank you for being so honest with your share, right? That what was stopping you was what between the 2 years, right? It usually is the case for a lot of us, right? And so, so grateful, Lorado, and great job and way to show up and be a leader and work with your team. And put in the time, right? Put in the time and effort and not give up on yourself and have that breakthrough. And there is something to be true when you see other people doing it, and like Adrian and Tanya and Candace and then Debbie and then yourself. Hopefully that's starting to build the belief within the South African market that yes, in other countries, but it's happening now here in the team, in the South Africa team here, that if you can do it, if they can do it, you can do it. So just keep going. Just keep going. Love that. Love it. I do want to share one thing about Lorado's story that I think is important for everyone to hear that Lorado didn't hit it until last night around 11 p.m. Okay. So there's a massive lesson in that because how many of you might have hit it if you stayed up until midnight on month end? Okay. So she played, this was my talk. If you want to listen to my talk, it was just 8 minutes, my training yesterday on the Pulse, but it was about what does commitment actually look like to be 100% committed. And that's what it looks like is you make a decision that it's going to happen. And Lorado, something shifted within you in the month of May, and you said, I'm making it happen no matter what. And you still had 3 active people you had to find yesterday. So it's not, or sorry, on Sunday. So it's not like it was easy. You literally were up until 11 p.m. on month end putting your last person in. But imagine if she hadn't done that, she wouldn't have hit her goal because she hadn't made that decision and stayed true to it. Okay, so not good or bad, right or wrong, but just something for us all to look at is do we sometimes sell ourselves short because we play at 80% versus 100%? And guys, I've been an 80% or most of my life. And I think, what would happen if I actually just practice that mindset between the ears to bump that up to 100%? How much quicker would I get my results? So, Lorado, I want to share that part of your story because it's an important part. So great job going all out and going all in. Yeah.
Thank
Awesome. Cool. Okay. So, team, I've got a lot to cover today. Normally, I would like to say, let's hear some other people's wins and let's get into it and all of that kind of stuff. But I want to go through some housekeeping stuff. And then I want to share something that I think is really going to be impactful for most of you because we have a lot of new energy. By the way, we're all still new. Even I've been here the longest, and by the end of June, at the end of June, it'll be a year. And so we're all still really in this new energy, which I want to share a personal development tool, speaking of mindset, that will hopefully support you in working through your emotions as you build the business so that you can have your breakthrough personally. Okay. But I just want to touch on a couple things really quickly. So this month, moving into June, we're going to be having business overviews every Tuesday, like we just had. Okay, we'll keep having the team cycle through and show up and participate. And then on Thursday, Terry is going to be doing a standing one for the South African and European markets every Thursday at 8 to 8:30, like he did previously, but it's just going to be once a week for now, unless it changes. Okay, so I'll continue to put those flyers out so you have them. Team, I cannot I don't want to say stress enough. What's the word I'm looking for? I cannot communicate enough the importance of you having your 50 points each month. Okay. This is so important. Even if you don't quite understand the compensation plan yet, the one thing you want to make sure that you get is the reason why you want to have 50 points every month come through your account. If you're here to build a business, I'm speaking to those of you who are here to build the business and make money, which I imagine is all of you if you're on the team call, right? So no matter what, you want to treat your business like a business and make sure that you find solutions to have 50 points every month because that is called the duplication of the business. So number one, if you don't put through 50 points, I almost think I can say this. There's no way you're ever going to have a successful business because the only way we make money here is if people are putting through their 50 points. And our business model is based on duplication. And duplication means do as I do, not as I say. So you just naturally won't be great at enrolling people to buy product from you or to put through their 50 points if you're not doing it. That could be your block. Okay. That might be your block. Okay. Because you have to be in integrity with what you're asking other people to do. So if you're not putting through your volume, if you're not using the product, it's going to be very hard to build your business. So that's number one. Number two, you won't get team commissions or checkmark commissions if you don't have 50 points. Okay, so you need to have that 50 personal points in to earn team commissions and check match commissions. Okay, so that's obviously important. You're here to make money, right? Number three, our business is all about generating volume, and the volume that is the leveraged residual income that Mark just spoke about comes from everybody putting through their 50 points. Okay, so your best customer is always going to be your team. Okay, so it's the beginning of June. Okay, you have 30 days every month to come up with the solution for that. I'm not saying it's always easy, yet you can do it and you're capable. Okay, it doesn't even have to be your 50 points if worst case scenario you can get a customer. So you have 30 days as well to find one customer and you can run a bottle of Fix through their account. So just really talk to your upline, talk to your sponsor and brainstorm solutions. Don't let a month go by without putting through that 50 points, okay? Get support and figure it out and leverage your upline for that. Does anybody have questions about that? Because it's really important. Okay. The other thing that I want to share is don't ever blame your upline for not knowing something. Okay. So this is very important because I have people say, I didn't know that. I didn't know, right? I didn't know this. I didn't know that. So your upline's responsibility in the business is to help you build your business through talking to your people. Now, as an upline, do we guide you to the tools? Do we guide you to the resources? Do we do our best to share these things and teach and train? Yes. But whose responsibility is it for knowing the compensation plan? Yours, right? It's your responsibility for knowing the compensation plan. Mark did not teach me the compensation plan. I taught myself the compensation plan by watching the videos, taking notes, watching them again, and then going to Mark and asking him questions around things I didn't understand. Okay, so take responsibility, learn. There's videos available, everything's accessible. So if you don't understand the compensation plan, it's not a bad thing. Okay, you want to learn. The best way to learn is to be in action building your business, and you'll learn that way too. But just be careful you don't go to, well, I don't know or nobody told me. Okay. You've got to take responsibility for learning some of these things. And I say that with love, right? But it's called independent sales rep. Yes, we're going to support you. Yes, your sponsor is going to support you, but we can't humanly possibly share everything with you to know in the very beginning of your business. Okay. So I just wanted to share that. A couple things to know for those of you who are new, because there's a lot of new people on here. When you first get started, your very first paycheck, the very first week, you get paid weekly. So just so you know, the very first week you make money, we get paid a week behind. So if you make money this week, it's not going to go into your e-wallet on Friday. It'll be a week behind. And then every week, the money's going to transfer into your e-wallet. Okay. Because some of you I know were like, hey, I made $40. Where is it? It's just holding there until the next week cycles. And then it's going to go into your e-wallet. And then moving forward for the rest of your MPG career, it's going to be every week go into your e-wallet. Okay. Every week go into your e-wallet. But the very first pay period, it's a week behind. Does that make sense? Yeah. The other thing to know is in South Africa, the banking system there, as you all know, is a little wacky. So whenever you pull money out from your e-wallet into your bank, there's a $15 banking fee. That's a lot. Okay. So here's what we recommend to make this most effective for you is that in the very beginning, and it's totally up to you, this is just a suggestion, but in the very beginning, as you're making money every week and the money starts to trickle in, leave it in your e-wallet and use that as like a savings account and let it add up, add up, add up until you have enough money to buy your product and use that money to purchase your product from the e-wallet to your auto ship. Or if you do want to pull it out, I would wait a month. I would just leave it in there and tell yourself I get paid once a month right now until you're making big enough money where $15 doesn't make an impact. You're like, whatever, I'm making a couple thousand. I want my money weekly. That's going to be a good problem to have. Okay. But I just don't want you to be surprised when you go to pull it out and it takes off $15. Another thing that's really cool, and yeah, and Adrian just put that in there, is to solve this problem, they've come up with global payment cards. And so you can transfer the money to that as well. And then Terry told me the other day that they're actually working really hard with the banks and the system so that it's going to be $8, not 15. So that will also help. So there is solutions in play for these things, okay? So I just wanted you to know that. Okay, Power Hour. We've had for a while what's called the Power Hour, Monday to Friday, where a lot of the leaders were getting on calls doing inviting together. We have a group for that, but we're actually going to put it on hold for now, just because it's not being used too much. Everybody's just inviting on their own, which is awesome. In the business, you're going to see sometimes we'll implement things and it's a bit of an ebb and flow. We'll implement challenges or structures or just kind of like how we did the 7-day social media blitz. We'll do that every once in a while when it feels like it makes sense to do it. Okay, so for now we're putting that on hold, but I want to support all the newer people in getting into action inviting and all of those who've been around for a while to maybe get some rhythm going on. So this is just an extra for support. You don't have to participate in this, but from June 8th to the 12th, so that's next week, Monday to Friday, from 6 p.m. South Africa time to 7. Okay, so that's 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time if I have any of my North America team on. Okay, for an hour, I'm going to hop on my Zoom and I'm going to walk you through. I'm not teaching, it's not a training, but I'm going to walk you through what activity to focus on. And we're going to do an hour of income producing activity together from Monday to Friday, just as a fun thing to do as team support. If you want to plug in, you can be on one of those, you can be on all 5 of those. You don't have to join any of those. I will be there no matter what, even if it's myself, okay, for an hour doing some activity, and you're welcome to join. And sometimes it's just funner to do it together. Okay, so I'll put that in the group chat. And then the last thing I want to share is that on June 29th, you might want to mark that date for those of you who want to lose weight. Okay, for those of you who want to be healthier, for those of you that want to start having an active lifestyle, we are going to be doing, I talked to Candace, who we all know is like a pro at health and wellness. And, she's obviously a natural doctor. So we're putting together a 3-month program, okay, where it will involve increasing your water intake. It will involve daily steps. It will involve some kind of eating plan of your choice, but we'll give you some guidance. Okay. And it's going to be a 3 month invitation, okay, to participate in, with the minimum requirements being you're on Fix every month and you're on the coffee because we are launching a new version of the coffee. We're just waiting for the date. It's most likely going to come at the end of June, okay? And the coffee is for fat loss. Okay. So it's a way for us to promote the coffee. It's a way for us to be on the coffee. It's a way for us to have an experience and get our testimonies. And it's a way for us all to be in community together, getting healthier. You do not have to participate in this. It's just going to be something extra. And so just stay tuned for details. I just wanted to give you that heads up because sometimes when we choose to do something for 3 months for our health, we need to mentally get there first, right? It's like, do I want to do something for 3 months? Yet that's available to you. And as we all know with health and wellness, when we have accountability and community, we tend to stick to our goals a little bit better. Okay, so stay tuned. Lastly, I know I said lastly with that, one more lastly. It's the beginning of June. So, you guys, this is just a habit I encourage you all to adopt. As an entrepreneur, sometimes we forget to treat our business like a business when it comes to our goals and our targets and our mindset. If you owned a physical structure, you would probably look at your goals for the month of May and say, hey, did we hit our targets? What worked? What could improve, right? And reset them for June. So I encourage you to do this today or tomorrow, is just very simply look at the month of May, ask yourself, what was your goal? Did you hit it? Yes or no, right? And then what worked? Write down what worked. What did you do that worked, right? Lorato just shared a bunch of stuff she did that worked in the month of May, okay? And then ask yourself what can improve. Okay, what can improve? Now, when you do that, you're not saying what can improve. Oh, well, if my team just hit their ranks and if that person would have purchased the product when they said they were going to, okay. So the what can improve is not the finger out. The what can improve is the finger in. Okay. So what can you do? How can you be? What skill set, right, is necessary for you to improve such that if you adapted a couple of your habits in the month of June, you would get a better result. Okay. And then what is your goal for June? What's your target? What rank do you want to be? If you hit silver for example, in May, maybe you want to be gold in June, right? Loretta, you hit platinum in May, possibly you want to be sapphire in June, right? Like as an example. So always have a target so you have something to work towards. And then let your support system know, let your sponsor know, hey, here's what worked, here's what can improve, and here's my goal for the month of June. So they can support you, right? So they can support you. Okay, so any questions on those housekeeping items?
Gary, can I just say something quickly? You
Yeah.
said why we have to have 50 points, but you did not mention if we don't have it, we lose all that money that's been built up. So we can't draw against it. So you don't want to lose that volume that's been building up over the month of May, because I don't know about previous months, but the month of May, there was quite a lot of volume. And you don't want to lose it. So it's best to make sure you've got your auto ship in and it works. And get it paid from your commissions. That's the best way to go.
Thanks, Johnny. That's super important piece I missed. Yes, right. If you don't put your 50 points in, the volume that has been banked and accumulated flushes, they call it, and it goes back to zero. Even if you had 50,000 in commissionable volume in there, if you don't put your 50 through, it goes back to zero. And that it's not like some of the other companies you've been in where they will backdate orders for you or make an exception. No exceptions. Okay. So super important. So I would actually get your auto ship in now. Make sure you have that on there. Thanks, Johnny. That's so important. Okie dokie team. Okay, let's look at this. I just want to share. I promise I had it up. Let's see if it's there. Yay. Okay. So some of you have seen this before. Some of you maybe you're seeing it for the first time, but this is called the Stages Framework. This is a wonderful tool to use for your mindset team, just to check in with yourself about where are you at? Are you on track? How are you feeling? What do you need to do to shift? Lorato just said that she changed her mindset, yet sometimes that's easier said than done, right? We say, hey, just have a better attitude, right? And you're like, well, okay, how do I do that, right? Like, hey, just change your mindset. It's like, oh, okay, easy enough, you know. But we're human beings, and unfortunately, we're conditioned with limiting beliefs that we've learned for years, and it's not as easy to undo, right? It's not as easy to unwind. So while we're building this business, we're also working on changing our beliefs about ourselves, okay, and changing our thinking and what we tell ourselves. Okay, so this is a great tool that you could use to support yourself in that process based on how you're feeling, knowing what you want to be doing in your business to move yourself forward. Okay, so it's called the stages framework. And so I would draw this out in your book, okay? Kind of just draw it out in your book as it shares on there. And I'm just going to walk you through this, and hopefully it'll help you feel a little bit better and make sense maybe where you've been at in your business. Keeping in mind we have a lot of new people on the team, and I've had a lot of conversations over the last month where people are feeling very frustrated and overwhelmed. And it just makes so much sense to me that that's a lot of the energy right now because we have so much new people getting started. And it might sound silly, but if the month of May you are at all frustrated, stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, just know you're on track. Okay. Awesome. Right. I'm going to say awesome. You're on track. Okay. So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit better. I'm going to tell you why. Okay. So if you look at this, okay, and you look at your point A on the far left and you look at your point B on the far right, okay, this curve is is a timeline. So point A is where you're at right now with getting started. Point B is where you want to go. It's your bigger vision, like your big vision. I'd probably say, you know, your vision years out. Okay. Your payback, where it says payback there, that's going to be your like, oh my gosh, once I get there, I'll be able to like once I make, I don't know, $5,000 a month. Woo! That's going to be awesome, right? That's like, what's your payback number? Your payback number is kind of your freedom number that Mark talks about. Whatever your freedom number is going to be that payback. Okay. So what happened think back to when you first started the business. Okay. How did you feel? Look at the bottom there. We're going to talk about your feelings. Okay. So when you first started the business, would it be fair to say you felt excited in some capacity? Like you felt hopeful, you saw that there was maybe a vision for yourself, that there was a solution for your finances, there was a solution for your health, and there was this like, oh my gosh, I hope this works and can I do this bit of excitement, okay? Now, this framework is actually a scientific framework. It doesn't matter whatever you're starting, people will go through these feelings, okay? Whether you're starting a business, whether you're starting a relationship, whether you're learning to play the piano, it doesn't matter, okay? All areas of our life, these are the stages, whether you're starting a health journey, okay? All of these areas of our life, you'll go through this process at some level. Okay, so typically when people first get started, they're excited. Okay, then what happens as you move towards the thing that you want, right? You'll see feelings of frustration start to kick in and feelings of anxiousness. Okay, why is that? So I like to say, as you start moving towards the thing that you want, little fear flags start to pop up. Okay, what are fear flags? Fear flags are obstacles and adversity that cause us to doubt ourselves or have fear or accidentally go to our limiting beliefs, okay, that are either inside of us or outside of us. What does outside of us mean? Well, I'll give you an example. Yesterday I got my taxes back on how much I owed, and I owe 2,000 more dollars than I was expecting. Do you think that got me happy or in a space of frustration and anxiousness, right? I'm like, what? Right? You know, so we have things outside of our control that cause us to feel like we're coming up against it. Okay. We then also have things inside of our control. Like, I'm so excited. I'm going to build this business and I'm going to get to platinum. And the first 10 people you call say, no way, that's snake oil. I hate network marketing. Why are you doing that thing again? That's too hard. And you get rejection after rejection after rejection. And you start to go into limiting beliefs and self-doubt, right? That would be an internal fear flag, right? You start to move towards the thing you want and you hit obstacles that cause you to slow down, procrastinate, or stop. What do you think most people do when they feel frustrated and anxious? They usually quit, right? This is the most important part of the business for all of you on this call who have joined in the last 1 to 3 months. Okay, you really need to hear this, okay? Because you do not want to be a part of the 95% that when they feel that way, they quit. Okay. So 95% of people run a pattern in their life that when they start something new and work towards what they want, and these fear flags and obstacles pop up and they feel frustrated, anxious, and overwhelmed, they tell themselves the stories and the reasons why they should quit because they want to go and find something new again because you want to feel excited again and hopeful again. Okay. This is a pattern people run. Think of yourself in your life if you've ever ran this pattern. I've done this with my weight. I've done this with relationships. I've done this with business. Okay. So it's not bad if you're running this pattern, but if you do, you want to bust it up because the truth is, if you don't bust it up in this business, you're going to come up against it in the next business you choose to do. And you're going to quit for the same reasons there that you would quit here. Okay. So the goal is to have a breakthrough from this energy, from these feelings, from the thought process, from this pattern, and move into what we call the investment phase. Okay. So the investment phase is this brick wall, okay, right here, okay, right before these feelings. Okay. You want to move into what is called the investment phase. What is the investment phase? The investment phase is usually the chapter of someone's growth that they want to skip over because people like instant gratification. Okay, but the investment phase is the most important phase for your learning, your skill development, your growth, and your belief. And it's like the idea of developing your skills through repetition. Okay, so how do you create and grow your skill set and your competence, which means you know what you're doing? It's through doing something over and over again. So this is where you can adapt that mindset of the 10,000 hour rule, okay, to mastery. Because when you know what you're doing and you feel confident in what you're doing, your belief in yourself goes up and your confidence goes up. And that's why the investment phase there, the feeling you're going to get if you're willing to hang out there is confidence. Okay. Annalie shared on the business testimonial today. Do you not see Annalie's confidence shining through? Because she, from the very beginning, has worked through the frustration. Trust me, Annalie went through a frustration, anxious phase, right? And she's now in the investment phase where she's showing up to everything. She's been on calls, she's doing three-way calls, she's doing inviting, right? And so you have to be willing to lean into doing the income producing activities over and over again to get better at them. So you're not going to be good at things in the very beginning. It's just the way that it is, right? Why do you think we use the team call to have you guys host and then do product and then do business? And you're like, oh, but I don't know if I'm ready. I don't have it mastered yet. Of course you don't have it mastered. You haven't even done it once, you know? So we know you're going to come on and be nervous and maybe not like be an expert at sharing about it. That's not the point. The point is to learn how to get better at it and have the confidence to present, right? And you do it once, you're going to be okay. You do it twice, you're going to get a bit better. You do it 10 times, you're going to be pretty good. You do it 20 times, wow, now you really sound like you know what you're talking about, and so on and so forth. Okay? And so the only way to get great at something is to be willing to put in the time of skill development. Okay? Now, does this have to take a long period of time? No. Okay? But here's the truth. Most people will avoid this piece and therefore they will stay in frustrated anxiousness and eventually quit. So the sooner you throw yourself into the investment phase, the faster you're going to get your results. Because look what's on the other side. Incremental growth, right? You're going to start to see money come in. You're going to start to see team come on board. You're going to start to see team rank up. Your paycheck's going to go up. Your team commissions is going to go up. And it's going to start to feel like good times. Okay. You're going to be a little bit more relaxed, not because you've taken your foot off the gas, because you're not so in that mindset of, can I do this? Will it work? No, because you're actually getting validated because you're getting the result. But the reason why you're getting the result is because you were willing to be in the investment stage. And no one can do that for you. Okay. So if you're feeling stuck, which might be some of you right now, because so many of you just joined in the last month. Okay. If you're in that space where you're frustrated or you're anxious or you're feeling stuck, there's two things to get yourself out of that energy. Okay. Number one, you've got to revisit your goals because chances are, if you're feeling stuck, you're focused on by accident the wrong thing, which is your adversity, your obstacle, what's going wrong. And then you just ruminate on it and it drags you down and it becomes bigger than the goal. So if you're feeling stuck, go, whoops, I'm feeling stuck. Got to reset, got to refocus on my goals. Why am I here? What do I want? What am I moving towards? And what you might have, that's why I say set your goals for June and have those somewhere. Okay. I'm going to put a goal sheet in the group chat. Know your goals, be focused on them every day, be looking at them every day, be proactive with your feelings so you don't get stuck. Okay. The second thing that's going to get you out of that feeling is to be in action. And I know you don't want to hear that sometimes, but it's just the truth. You got to start taking steps. Okay. And what do you want to be doing for your action? Income producing activities. So when I say investment phase and developing your skill, the things you want to focus on: inviting, presenting, following up. Okay. Those are the main things that you want to get really good at. You obviously want to have a contact list and know what your goals are, but business income producing activities: inviting, presenting, and following up, inviting, presenting, and following up over and over and over again. Okay. The more you do that, the better you'll get. The more you're talking to people, the faster you're going to get your results. And the person who speaks the most wins. Okay. The person who speaks the most wins. So if I'm on a call with you, which is great, in the beginning, leverage it. Three-way calls, three-way calls, three-way calls. But eventually you got to rip the Band-Aid off and start doing the calls yourself. Why do you think I'm so good at doing a three-way call? Because I'm the one doing it. I'm the one developing my skill, not you. Right? And so Annalie, I can see you right now, so I'm picking on you. But Annalie has started doing her own three-way calls, right? Because what happens is I got busier, she got more confident. She's like, I can do these myself now. She's like, I want to develop the skill. She's growing in her confidence. I'm like, you go, girl. And now she's doing three-way calls. She's developing the skill, not me. Oh, well, I am because I'm doing other ones, right? So like you've got to be the one talking so you develop the skill. And then you leverage three-way calls, but you don't just only use three-way calls. Because if you're not having the conversations, you're not going to develop your confidence and you're not going to get better and you're not going to develop the skill. So when we say presenting, it's you talking to people, it's doing three-way calls, and it's leveraging the business overviews. And the truth is, if a prospect is here because they truly want to look at the business, they're going to need all three of those. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to share about the investment phase is you could hang out there for years or you could spend less time there. The difference is the amount of activity. Okay. So let's say, I'll give you an example. It took me, and you guys have heard me say this because I actually tracked it then, 300 invites and 55 presentations to get to Ruby. Those were my numbers. Okay. So 300 invites and 55 presentations. The 55 presentations were two things. It was me doing my own presentation and it was me doing three ways. It was split in half. Okay. So I forget how, I think it took me 3 months to get to Ruby. So I could have done that in 6 months and it would have took me 6 months to get to Ruby. I could have done that in a year and it would take me a year to get to Ruby. I could have done the same amount of invites and the same amount of presentations in a month and it would have took me a month to get to Ruby. But I did it in 3 months and it took me 3 months. So do you see that you are in charge of how long it takes you to get your goals? So if you want things to happen faster, you have to do the skill development and the repetition in a shorter amount of time. There's no wrong way to do this, you guys. It's just what you want. Okay. But that's how you could be in control of how quickly you get your results. You want faster results, you got to do way more numbers in a short amount of time. That's it. There's no magic to this. There's no magic to this. Okay. So that's the investment phase. I'm spending a lot of time here. I'm just going to touch on the other part. I wanted to spend most of my time here. The other piece of the puzzle here is that investment isn't just activity and skill set. Investment is what Loretta was talking about, which is mindset. Okay. So what are you doing to improve your mindset? Okay. Through repetition. Are you listening to audios? Are you reading books? Are you jumping on team calls? Are you listening to some of the trainings? You know, I was talking to Candace today and Jax, she was totally complimenting you because you keep sharing with her all the videos you've been watching in the MPG app. And I said to her, I was on a call with Jax yesterday. I was doing a three-way call with him, and he was like a master at explaining the business. And I was like, wow, and he just got into the business. But because he's been watching the videos, listening to things, learning, taking notes, right? And so, what are you doing for your learning curve when it comes to your mindset personally that you can do this, that you are a leader and within the business? Okay. So, these are all pieces of what to focus on for investment. And it doesn't have to consume a lot of time, everybody. You just have to be doing it at some capacity. Okay. So what happens once you hang out in the investment phase for a while is you start to move towards growth, and then eventually you get your payback. Okay. Payback is kind of like I said, it's your freedom number. Oh my gosh, once I get there, I'll be able to have this and do this and I'll be this. Okay. We all kind of operate that way. Okay. So it is going to feel great. It is going to feel euphoric. But guess what? I hate to be the bearer of bad news. On the other side of that euphoric feeling, guess what? We never arrive. You think that when you hit diamond or double diamond or triple diamond, well, guess what? Now you have a massive team of people to be connecting with. Do you know it took me 2 hours this morning just to get back to my group chats? I was like, I can't, oh my God. I didn't even get through everybody. So you become a leader, you have more responsibility, you have a new skill set to learn. You're making $5,000 a month. Well, your lifestyle is probably now $6,000 a month. Okay. So you hit this elusive payback, and on the other side is going to be stress and disillusionment. Okay. More stress and more disillusionment. Johnny, I'm looking at you. Some of you who've been in business for a long time, this is another pattern people run. Okay. This is about 7 to 10 years. Okay, another pattern that people run. They hit another brick wall over here after doing something for a while, experiencing success. This could be marriages. Okay, this could be relationships. This could be your health journey. Okay, and so you get to this place called disillusionment. This is where I was 3 years ago in my previous business, where just nothing was working. And I just kept digging in, doing the insanity thing. And I was completely unfulfilled and completely unhappy, chasing achievement. And I did it for a couple years too long because I was in disillusionment, right? And then I realized, oh my gosh, I don't want to be here anymore, because disillusionment is more about fulfillment of self, where you're not feeling fulfilled. Okay. But from the outside looking in, things could look pretty good. Okay. And so if you're in disillusionment, you want to move to what's called the transformation stage. Okay. And oh, I pulled up the wrong chart. There's 5 things for transformation. I'll just tell you what they are, but you will know you're in transformation when you're going to choose one of these 3 things: advanced growth, plateau, or decline. Now, when you've been doing something for a long time and you're wanting transformation, most people who have a growth mindset, which is all of you on this call, okay, all of you on this call, you're going to want advanced growth. Okay. Some people choose plateau. Like I have friends, my friends who are, I have a couple friends who are teachers, and literally one of them said to me the other day, I know I have 10 years left before I get my pension and I hate what I do, but I'll just stick it out. And I was like, oh my God, you're going to hate what you do for 10 years? That's a long time, right? We're 49. That's all of your 50s. You're going to not enjoy your career. She's like, yep, right? Plateau. Okay. Some people will choose decline, right? On purpose sometimes, which is great. I'm going to encourage you when it comes to business success to choose advanced growth. Okay, so what does advanced growth look like? There's 5 things, and you're going to want to write these down. How do you get transformation? Okay, the first one is identity. So, who are you at this stage in your life? Not who were you 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Okay, so if we're talking about business, do you see yourself and believe at the core that you're a leader? Lorato, I'm so excited for you because that's what you mentioned, is believing that you can be a leader and take people with you, right? This is the stage you're in. It's a great example. And thank you for sharing that, because I'm sure that resonates with a lot of people, right? I know I could be a leader of self, but I'm struggling to believe I can be a leader of others, right? And so it's stepping into that belief and identity that you are a leader, right? As an example of identity. Okay. A lot of parents struggle with this. I had a call with another team member the other day. She had just had a baby. Okay, won't mention her name. She might be on the call. Wink, wink, love ya. And she's struggling with this identity of, am I just mom and wife? Because I actually also want to be a businesswoman. Can I be a businesswoman, mom, and wife at the same time? Yes, you can, right? Yet you've got to decide that you can. So that might be a bit of an identity crisis, right? Is there anybody on this call that has failed in business? Hello, that was my whole last chapter of my life. So I was like, man alive, can I actually be successful? Right? Can I be successful? Changing our identity around failure and success. How many of you have put 20, 30 years into business and you've never made more than $5,000? That's going to be an identity shift. That's where you start. That's where you start. That you are a successful business person that earns X amount of dollars easily. Okay. So number two is relationships. If you want to make money and hang around people who are successful in network marketing, you want to leverage and hang out with people who are successful in network marketing. Okay. If you want to be healthy, you hang out with people who live a healthy lifestyle, right? If you want to be positive, you hang around people who are positive, right? So some people need to get a new network. I know a big problem in this business is people are like, all my friends that I ask to do the business are broke. You might need to get some new friends. And I mean that with love. Right? Don't discard your friends. You just need some new friends on top of the ones you have, right? Because if you just hang around broke people, welcome to the club. You're going to be broke too. Oh my gosh, right? Okay. Number three, skill set. At this level, when you're leveling up and wanting transformation, it is going to require a different version of you when it comes to skills. Okay. I am not techie. Up until now, I have to be careful. I don't keep saying I'm not techie because I'm reinforcing that identity, right? So I'm really working on being like, I'm great at social media. I'm actually really techie. I can be a leader and empower others. All these skill sets that are required, right? So what are the skill sets you need to work on? The fourth one is leverage. How beautiful that we have a leverage business and that's required in transformation. I'm all for it, right? So in order to create leverage, you've got to be good at duplicating. That goes back to the 50 points I was talking about. You've got to duplicate the system with other people. And how you do that is being willing to invest in people. That's all we're doing is finding people, teaching them what to do by doing it with them, investing in their success so that we can have leverage. So they can go out and do that with their people and get leverage. And then that way we all have leverage, right? Number five is purpose, and it's the last one. So why are you here? When you get to the transformation side of things, it becomes bigger than ourself. So in the beginning, if we go back to the getting started phase, that's about us and it's supposed to be about you. You're like, I'm broke, I need to make money, I want to transition. This is about me right now. I'm developing my skills. I want to be healthier. Amazing. Put your oxygen mask on. You want it to be about you in the beginning. All of you who are new, make it about you. Allow yourself to be selfish. I call it self-full. You got to fill up your cup before you can pour into others. Okay. When you go from investment to payback, that growth period, it goes from me to we. Well, you cannot get to payback in this business without creating a team, right? So now you got to bring other people with you. You got to allow yourself, like Lorado said, to like give up your time, right? To help people. Okay. Then when it gets to transformation, it's about the us. It's about the bigger picture. It's about what legacy am I living? What impact am I making? Why am I here? What's my purpose? What's my mission? That kind of thing. And then guess what? When you get to advanced growth, it just starts all over again. Just starts all over again. Okay. So I know that I'm just wrapping up and I just want you guys to understand that this is kind of a life cycle. It's a stages framework. So wherever you're at on here is perfect. Okay. And just know that you want to keep moving forward. You don't want to, if you're in one of the frustrated, anxious stages before investment, or if you're in the stress or delusionment stage before transformation, you want to take a look at and be proactive. What do I need to do to get into the investment phase? What do I need to be doing to get into the transformation phase? And then you just put your effort, energy, time, beliefs, all that stuff into that space and watch everything elevate. Watch everything elevate. Okay. But you are designing your life. Don't let your life take control of you. You're in control. That's a belief I encourage you to adopt. Okay. So I hope this helps take away some of the pressure some of you've been feeling about where you're at. Use this if you're a leader in the business, meaning you have one team member or more. By the way, you're a leader if you have one team member or more. Okay. Use this when guiding your team. Because you guys, sometimes I'm not going to lie, it can be overwhelming as a leader because you're dealing with everybody's new energy, right? People are excited, frustrated, anxious, excited, frustrated. You're like, oh my God, it's crazy, it's chaos, right? And so just know that when people come into the business, they're going to go through this. So it can give you some compassion, it can give you some understanding, it can give you some patience, and it can give you some guidance of what you want to do as a leader, which is get them out of frustrated and anxious and get them into the investment phase. Okay. And that's going to require having conversations with people and giving them coaching and guidance of where to put their time and energy so that they can grow. So that I'll put this in our chat. I hope that helps. I would love to just open it up with the last 5 minutes we have just to take shares, ahas, BFOs, I say, blinding flash of the obvious. Adrian, that's Adrian's blinding flash of the obvious. MPG attracts men with no hair. But what's your guys' takeaways just from that perspective? Let's just take some shares. I think there's so much value in sharing.
I think it was perfect, Kelly. The way you teach is really awesome. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Adrian. Did you have a notice for yourself? Like, did something come up for you where you're like, oh, interesting?
No, just heard it in a different way.
Mm,
And the way you say it makes 100% sense.
awesome. Awesome. Who else? What did you learn about yourself?
That is exactly how I feel as well. Kelly, the stuff that you have trained me on, stuff that I have heard or not heard in the last 5 or 6 years, I have heard it in a completely different way from you. And I mean, there were things that I was told in the last business that I didn't know how to improve or adjust those things because there were certain parts that I'd never heard before. And so it's been so interesting and informative and exciting to hear it from your perspective. So thank you.
Awesome, Melissa. You know what, you guys? I'm also going to suggest just to put it back on yourself as being the source of that. You're probably ready to hear it in a different way too. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing when the student's ready, the teacher appears. So you're probably in a growth space yourself where you're hearing things differently because you're hearing it. And then I know the two of you, Melissa and Adrian specifically, you're then applying it. And team, that's what's really important too when you get these lessons, is to go and implement. Whoever moves to implementation as quick as possible is going to reap the benefits of the lesson, right? So thanks for sharing that. Who else? Who else wants to share a takeaway? Aha. Rosina, I think I saw you were going to take yourself off mute. I saw you reach in.
Thanks, Kitty. Okay, there's two things. One was Lerato. You've inspired me so much. And I think a half for me there from Lerato was find out what's your blockages, see what's holding you back in that mindset. That's the one thing. The second one was when you spoke about relationships. Stop hanging around with your broke friends. And it reminded me about something that I heard recently. I think it was on one of the videos I watched. It said, solve rich people's problems. So find the people that have money to invest or, to spend on themselves or see the value in invest in spending on themselves and solve their problems. And you can grow from there. So that was
Amazing.
my two ahas. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, Rosina. Vilna?
I like this graph that you showed us. It make it so practical. That's exactly what we're going through, and I love it. Thanks.
Awesome. Of course,
It-
Vilna. But it's true, right? Like, so just know that it's normal, you guys, to be frustrated and anxious and overwhelmed when you're learning something new. You just don't want to stay there. So take responsibility of self to not stay there, right? And so move into that investment phase, whatever it looks like for you, so you can start to build your confidence.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course. Cool. Any last things before we hop off? No, no.
Kelly,
Yeah.
can I just quickly share a testimonial? My dad had two strokes in 2022, diverticulitis, diabetes, high blood pressure. He's been on the product now for going on 4 weeks. He bought himself a boogie board yesterday. He's actually going to the sea. He's sleeping better. His blood pressure. He's not taking blood pressure tablets. And he was one. I actually had to give him a bottle because he wouldn't buy a bottle. I had to give him a bottle and said, "Come to the house, fetch it," because obviously I'm not there, and take the product. And he didn't take it for a whole week after I gave it to him. Because he's like, no, he doesn't want to do this because the doctors and he's on this medication, that medication. And basically, I got angry with him, told him, take this flipping stuff. And it's solving this problem. He bought a boogie board. And because he's had a stroke, the circulation in his left hand, he doesn't have to like force his hands open. So, yeah, Fix is an amazing product. And I get to try it for the first time on Tuesday.
That's so awesome.
Tuesday coming.
That's such an awesome testimony, Adrian, right? And it hits a little bit more home when it's your family too, right? Than when that happens. So, so cool. Thank you for sharing. So, team, you got this. It's a new month. Push reset. Let's do this, right? So much can happen in a month, team. So much can happen. So, just believe in yourself, leverage your support, and let's have our best June yet. Super pumped. Thanks, team. Appreciate you all so much.
Thank you, Kelly. That was seriously awesome.